enter this moment. I focus my will. I open my consciousness. Breathing, I am still. Breathing, I am still. I dedicate this body. I dedicate this place. A vessel for holiness. Surrender to grace. I surrender to grace. Forgiving the past, relinquish the future. I choose this moment. I choose love. I choose love.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm joined with Ari Moshe Wolfe, and we're here to just share a little bit of insight into the current planetary transits as they relate to this topic of sacred partnership. And what we are seeding today in particular is the beginning of a new Venus and Mars cycle. Both the planets of Venus and Mars came together and conjoined last night. And a conjunction just means the two planets come together at the same degree. And when they make that meet up in the sky, they're creating and seeding what we call in evolutionary astrology a new phase, a new cycle. And this new cycle is relative to all things Aquarius. Aquarius pertaining to community, the humanity, our function socially as we relate to relationship. And so what I was thinking about this morning is just how all of the conditioned places where in relationship we have been taught to suppress our own unique individual desires, needs, our personal path, our own calling, are the same places that in relationship we're now learning how to liberate from. Because to do that, to suppress the core desires of the soul, is to live in separation from the very love that created us to be in this life. And those desires in relationship can only be met if we are living as the most authentic version of ourselves. Now, that's not living as a perfect version of ourselves or in some idealized version of relationship. It's living in the truthful version of relationship. The one that says, yeah, it's vulnerable to be me, to have all my flaws and insecurities, to have the wounds of the past that I carry, but I bring myself fully into this relationship in this moment. And it also means that the ways in which we work together and collaborate is going to, at least in this next phase of evolution, be entirely dependent on our ability to remain sovereign, individual, connected to ourselves, connected to our core calling, and simultaneously in relationship to one another. I wonder, Ari, if you want to share any other thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, it says we have all of our ideas, our conditioning, our expectations about what a relationship or a good relationship or a conscious or a sacred relationship is. But there's just the truth of we're only going to take ourselves with us wherever we go. And the humility of this new phase, and just to offer a little bit more context, this new phase in Aquarius, both Mars and Venus over the next several weeks are going to be squaring Jupiter and then Uranus in Taurus. So this is sort of emphasizing, let's say from one perspective, the ways in which we're not honoring our own value, our own worth, and our own right to actually determine for our own selves what we like, what we enjoy, what makes our life livable. Then relationship becomes a matter of suppressing, oh, I'm being held back or I can't get what I want, right? Inward, outward. And if we are connecting with the beauty and the joyfulness and the breathability of our own being and our own life and our own deserving, and we're really working on our own thoughts and our inner relationship to ourself, then relationship is of course going to reflect that. So Aquarius both reflects friendship, that which resonates and comes together. But it also reflects the ecosystem of life, as it's a sort of fractal reflection of the internal community that lives inside each one of us. We can't allow ourselves to get so fixated on the external forms of the things that aren't where we want them to be. And there's a sort of simplicity and peace and prayerful acknowledgement that we can access as we learn that tending to our own inner vibration is always worthy. It's always worth it, right? It's always worth it. There's always value in that. And that often means we have to honor and appreciate how a relationship shows up, what form it takes, the contours and the expressions that it takes. That's really secondary to the balance and the peace and the harmony that we do experience relationally when we're really honoring and at peace with our own self. I can't emphasize enough, especially when it comes to Venus. Venus is relational, right? The people we attract in our lives, relationship experiences, but it's also our inner relation. It's how we listen to our own self. It's how we feel and connect with our own inner being, just as much as it's how we listen to other people. There's a dynamic, internal, inner, outer relational experience always happening with Venus. So it's so helpful to appreciate that at the core of these transits, which are very powerful and radicalizing for our relational experiences, is learning to hear ourselves and know ourselves in a more authentic and direct way.
Yeah, it reminds me of a dream message that I received recently, which said, the form of relationship can change, but it's the love that remains the same. And the sign of Aquarius, from an astrological perspective, is ruled by Uranus. And Uranus is this liberation from known, conditioned, like the edge of our limits of reality, in order to experience that which is unknown. Now, that which is unknown to us is the scariest, place in our own minds. And really, to the extent that we become comfortable with the unknown in this time, the new phase. Think about the new phase in any relationship when you first meet someone. You don't have context for each other. There isn't a past history to compare one another to. And so a lot of the times what we do in that framework is we feel the vulnerability of, I don't know this person. Are they going to love me? Are they going to accept me? Are they going to want to be with me? Or we project our past experiences on those relationships. But at this time, we have such a unique opportunity with all of this new energy in Aquarius, not just Venus and Mars, but Pluto also. Bottom line, the evolutionary intention has shifted, and that requires us to step into new forms. But if we are doing it from the perspective of like, wow, I don't know what this is going to be like. It's going to be so exciting. This is great. This is going to free me from what I have known in the past. And if we have known conditional ways of relating, conditional ways of loving one another, or like I was saying earlier, suppressing our needs or desires in order to maintain relationship, then this in and of itself brings in all this energy to really challenging that through owning our desires, through owning our voice, through owning our value, and then using that in the larger context of a relationship to say what form makes the most sense here. Mm-hmm. And with Aquarius, there's all these new ideas that we can take, which essentially will create new social constructs, new forms, but also it gives us the experience of new ways of being, new ways of loving. And this, I think, is really exciting at this time.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, just the trap is all the ways that we project some kind of higher value and meaning on a particular form, right? That becomes such a trap. And we're always invited with Aquarius to let go of precedent of the known, to let go of all of the associations we've made, and to recognize it's how we feel. That's what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. It's that feeling of resonance and harmony and balance and a sense of alignment with our inner and outer lives. That is the key. That's the prayer. That's the orientation that we're looking for. And we are not to limit it. And it's not just like personal relationships. It's how we are in relationship to, the totality of our life and all the different social facets of our human experience, to allow for something that is even more livable and breathable and supportive of the unfolding of all that we are, to not get too materialistic, too overly focused on what we think it has to look like, because unknowingly we limit ourselves and the greater potential for thriving.
Right, and if we get to the bottom line of what that desire is, that desire to know and be known, to love and be loved, and to have and experience a sense of belonging. And that belonging, I always think of like the longing as the answer for belonging. It's the place where we're desiring something or someone or a form, right? But if we become fixed on, I won't feel belonging, sense of purpose, blah, 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 until I have this or I have that, or my relationship looks like this, or my partner acts like this, then the way of our life is going to be, filled with a lot of disappointment and difficulties. But if we know our inherent belongingness in the whole of humanity, that we couldn't have been created here otherwise, right? And that is the inherent wholeness of our being. And we're bringing that into relationship with whatever longings and desires we have, but entitled to share those with others and have them be met and received, not with expectation, but with excitement around what can this look like? What can this feel like? How can I experience this in ways that I have never imagined before? And I think that space of wide open of possibilities is intimidating when the construct of relationship that we've been sold is so limited, and it is so much of our identity is based on getting this thing, and as opposed to our identity being rooted in our inherent belonging, and that belonging being a calling for us to be in relationship to life itself.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all. Many blessings to you.
Bye for now.
I choose love. I choose love. Na, na, na,